I want to show a little tool I've been working on. Its current implementation is sort of in the form of a webhook that will mutate cluster extensions as they're added to the cluster. The idea is to take the CR for the cluster extension and mutate it to a working cluster extension. So if you've made a mistake and it would be obvious to something like an AI LLM, the AI LLM will have a chance to present back a fixed CR and allow that validation to go through. So sort of a soft validation. The goal would be to have more of a soft experience for the user, less automatic validation and rejection, and more of an ability to just accept what was input and massage it into something that will work. Really striving for the best UX. Do what I meant, not what I wrote. The project website is here. Got a decent README, and then let me show you the code with a local view of it. So we've got a make file with some targets that make it easy to deploy this. We've got an example of a bad cluster extension CR. We've got our standard deployment. The initial take I had on this was to use OpenAI. The API is pretty well developed at this point, and it's actually been copied in many places. So I was starting here. The models are pretty good, and then I re-implemented this within the project for Red Hat derived LLMs, and I'll show that later. So this is the deployment of the webhook, and let's go ahead and deploy it. So we've got a cluster running here courtesy of operator controllers make run. And so if we deploy to it, we should be able to see our deployment work. So we'll do a make deploy. And that'll fire off everything we need to get the webhook installed on the cluster. I guess I could tell a joke here, but mostly we're just waiting on the machine. All right, so that all loads. If we want to take a look at that, we can actually see the webhook running. If we look at its logs, it just says that the webhook server started. So now if we try to deploy a bad CR, so let's put in a bad CR. This CR is actually missing the package name, and you'll notice we have validate false, so we don't get the default API server validation. We are essentially taking responsibility for the validation here, and the webhook is going to do the validation after it puts the CR through to OpenAI. There's a little bit of a delay while it processes. And yep, it worked. So it processed the CR, and let's see if we got our cluster extension. Yep, our cluster extension made it on. So if we look at the YAML, it has a package name, and if we go back and look at what we gave it, we can see that what we gave it was missing a package name. And the actual code that handled that was right here in the mutate. Got a chance to take a look at what the CR was. Then it had a chance to adjust the CR with the LLM. That resulted in a prompt where we basically take the CR that we got and the CRD that we get from the cluster, and we present them both um, to the OpenAI API, and we get back an adjusted CR. And in this case, it worked great. So that was maybe an interesting thing, because the CR that we actually got, it filled in example package, which may or may not be a good package name, but it does result in a valid CR. What we might be hoping for is that from a Red Hat derived LLM like Granite or one of the others, that we would actually that have been trained up on specifically maybe Red Hat stuff with InstructLab, we might be hoping that we would get better results, maybe more specific to what we would hope for, where maybe we would have typed something close to a package name, or we would have something like that, and it would be able to actually fix it intelligently. But that's the goal here. And if I go to, let's take a look over here. These are the AI lab recipes that are specifically built around Podman deployability. And so I went with the natural language processing one, a chatbot. It's based on Llama LLM and Granite. So if we look here at where I've deployed it, I've actually deployed it on GCP. You can see that, oops, we dropped. Let's get back on the VM, and we'll make sure it's started. Let's see if it's running. It is running. Okay. So we know an external IP for it. I've already loaded that into the deployment. It's a little bit clunky for now. You have to actually put the IP in there. But it uses the same API as ChatGPT, so most of our code will just work as is. It's just swapping out OpenAI for the Granite-based LLM chatbot, and we'll go ahead and deploy that. So let's delete our deployment that we had from before with the OpenAI one. We'll delete that, and then we'll go ahead and redeploy the LLM. So that's deploying a version that has the IP for the GCP VM built into it. Give it a sec here, and it should load. Okay, and there's our deployment. And it's running, and it's waiting. So let's do the same thing again. Oh, let me just show you one thing. We'll just show you a simple, we'll hit it with a curl prompt, prompt in curl. Pretty simple question. And hopefully we get back the simple answer. Yeah, we did. So the capital of France is Paris. What is the capital of France? Was the question, was the prompt. So now let's run a bad CR through it. And that's as far as I've gotten. In that, unfortunately, this Granite and Llama LLM model doesn't handle enough tokens to handle both the CR and the CRD, so I have to go out and search for one of our InstructLab models that will work in this manner, but should get there, and then we should have a working homegrown version of this. So, and hopefully one that's very customizable to what OLM and operator framework are doing. So that's it. Thanks.